Hey, Cynthia St. Cyr here. I hope you're doing well. It's Wednesday, March 28th, and it finally feels like it might really seriously be spring now. There's just a few patches of snow from the 12 inches of snow we had 1 week ago, which is hard to believe. And you can probably hear the geese in the background. So spring has sprung, which is a wonderful thing. I wanted to just share with you something that came through to me last night. I was led to pick up a book and read just a short passage, which happens a lot to me, but I get so much out of it. I get kind of like a download from it of the meaning of the cross. And you know, I happen to love Jesus. I love a lot of beings, but for me, he is the epitome of what we are meant to be, which is Christ, which is perfect union and pure divine source coming through us into our humanness and walking out into the world as evolutionized, enlightened, empowered beings. But if you just think that, whether Jesus is that for you or just another guy or another being like Buddha and Krishna and all that, or you just think he's some cool guy that had some pretty good hair, it doesn't matter. Call this whatever you want. But what I was led to last night was a definition of the cross, which, you may or may not know, the symbol of the cross goes back far, far, far beyond and before Christ ever was hung on the cross. It has great symbolism in really almost every culture to some degree, and they defined the vertical wooden piece or cross piece as spirit, and the horizontal cross piece as matter. So you think of spirit and physical. The place in the middle where they meet, and this is what kind of got me, is where ego dies to spirit. There's a merging, a surrendering of ego into pure spirit. And that's what hit me, and then I started getting this download and channeling about, how, ego is not bad per se, but for most of us, and I think for me, it's been leading, it's got the number one position. It's the leader of the pack. It's never been meant to be that. Where everything else is subject to the definition that ego gives to our life, our world, our experiences, our potentiality. All of that, most of us we're taught to define it, and I think it's just our natural way to define that through ego, through our stories, through what we've learned, our experiences, our scars, our woundings, our messages, all of that, right? And we've talked about stories before, but my first thought was, yeah, but, I meditate every day and I write every day and, I really want to serve. But then I realized and was told in no uncertain terms that the distraction that I feel, the procrastination that I feel, the minute I try to bring that big idea down into the physical, I get foggy brained. I find another thing to do. I look at my phone for the 15th time. There's a million things. That's ego too. It's not me being like, oh, look at me, which is what we think of as when we think of somebody egotistical, right? We think of somebody who's only out for themselves, who's really self-centered. But really, it's just being led by the nose, by your ego. And for me, one of the ways that happens is distraction. I get it just when I go to step into source, to step into my divine self and enact and try to bring down my divine plan into the physical reality. It's like a that it's an ADD thing, right? It's like, oh, look, a squirrel. All my ego has to do is throw something up in the air, and then all of a sudden I'm chasing a butterfly that doesn't even exist. It's crazy. But and you think I would have figured this out, and I probably haven't forgotten it, but I don't know. So ego doesn't mean exactly that you're out for yourself. It means that you're being led and directed by all of the ways that you are kept out of being the pure potential of who you are meant to be. So for me, I was told that ego goes to the back of the line right now. Is ego bad? No, not necessarily. But ego has a place, and it's not at the beginning of the line. It's down further. So you might want to look at, what's going on in your life that's keeping you from taking steps towards who you really want to be and who you know you're supposed to be. We all have a divine mission in this life. And it can be as simple as loving a pet, adopting an unwanted puppy, or giving tender love to something, or stepping out and with kind words or a strong message or whatever. We all have something, right? And our stories keep us from doing that. And our stories are what our ego has just latched onto. We're very smart creatures, and we know how to keep ourselves safe and accepted and within the fence. But I'm here to tell you that God does not exist within the fence. Your potential does not exist within a fence. There is no fence to the spirit of who you are and all that you can bring into this world. So leave your ego in the fence, let it play in there, that's its place, and then step out of the fence and start walking. That's what I'm going to do. Day by day. And if I get distracted by a squirrel, or my ego throws a nut and I look, or whatever, as soon as I can possibly know that I'm aware that I've done that again, I'm going to redirect myself with some breathing, with some help. Ask for help. The other thing I was told was that there are legions of light bearers just waiting to help us and assist us on our individual and collective evolutionary path. They're all there. You can call them whatever you like, in whatever terms are comfortable for you. But it comes down to this. The ego would have you believe there was one book, one chapter, one story of who you are, and it would not have you turn the page or pick up another book for your entire life if it was able to do so, if it could prevent you from doing so. Put that book down. If you don't want to throw it away, don't throw it away. Just put it down. Turn around and pick up the book of light, of your light, that is sitting on the shelf. Open it and see what happens. Be ready to receive. Be willing to surrender all of who you think you are to the pure light of spirit and source. It's a moment by moment thing, a day by day thing, at least with me it is. But I'm walking this path too, man. And I am not willing to live the ego book anymore. I'm jumping into a different story, the truth. The true story of my divine potential. And I invite you to jump into the true story of your divine potential. I'll meet you there, because we'll all end up at the same place. God bless you. If you like this, it's hard to come down to business after that, but if you like this, leave a comment, go to my Facebook page, Full Spectrum Healing with Cynthia St. Cyr. If you want to get in touch with me for coaching or any kind of anything, just do so. I'm around. I'll respond back to you. Have a great day. Happy Easter. Happy spring. I wish you peace and health.